So, the worst kept secret, Marvel history.
Worse than what we'll talk about later.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this entire time we've been like, it's Kingpin, big meaty claws, it's Kingpin. And then I'm purposely not checking my Twitter because I'm like, part of me wants to be surprised. And then I'm waiting to get my hair cut today, and I turn on my Twitter. Keep in mind, I don't follow this person, but it had to be the first thing in my feed.
When I was a boy.
I was just like, okay, it's going to be a good day. Go ahead.
All right, so this episode is called Ronin, and we first see a flashback to 2018, where Belova and Sonya, a fellow Black Widow, subdue a woman named Anna in her house who has been helping deprogram Black Widows. After going to wash her hands in the bathroom, Yelena gets snapped out of existence and subsequently blipped years later. Months later, Bishop returns to her mother's house and informs her about DeCane's shell corporation, leading Eleanor to call the cops and have him arrested. Bishop then goes back to her apartment where she finds Yelena waiting for her. And the conversation between Kate and Yelena is one of the best just like dialogue moments of this entire series so far.
One small thing that someone brought up in the when I was looking for pictures for this, that someone brought up that when they're kids, Yelena asked, I can't think of the dad's name.
Alexei
asked, they asked her what he wanted for dinner, and she said she wanted mac and cheese.
Oh, that's a nice payoff.
I'm like, that's awesome. But yeah, I could have listened to Yelena talk to Kate for an hour and a half.
Same. Like, I would have been perfectly content if the entire, 40 minutes?
Yeah.
Was just Kate and Yelena in the apartment.
Yep. It was ridiculous. She can flip from being a kind-hearted joker to a cold-hearted killer without changing the tone in her voice within seconds.
She's that good.
She's so talented. My goodness, that woman is going to be dangerous when she even gets more talented as an actress. And I suppose I can take this jumbo-sized picture of Kingpin off of my screen here so I can look at my notes. Yeah, we get to find out that Yelena was snapped. Didn't know that for sure or not.
That actually clears a few things up from the Black Widow post-credit scene, because I was wondering, A, how she wouldn't have known about Natasha's passing,
mm-hmm.
and B, why she would just assume that Clint was the one that killed her.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to get technical, it's not completely wrong, but perspective.
It's perspective. Two people fighting to commit suicide over a stone. Tomato. Yeah. It's just like, I'm trying to picture how it's going to be explained to Yelena. Like, how do you not hear me and Natasha were both deciding who had the more useless life over an Infinity Stone while talking to a floating red skull thing on a cliff where we had to jump off and get the stone on another planet. I'm wanting to see the Cliff Notes version of that Clint is going to give to Yelena.
It's probably going to be like a Gilligan's cut, and she'll be like, so let me get this straight.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. Yeah, I was just like, I'm picturing it. I'm trying a million ways to picture in my head how this conversation goes. But yeah, it's awesome. Yelena and Kate have a great rapport already. Clint having the small moment where he talks, quote unquote, talks to Natasha was awesome. Part of me thinks they still might do this because they have not shown who they're fighting in that scene that has not happened in the show yet.
Oh,
where
I know the one.
Where the two of them are shooting arrows on that rooftop in their twin gear, which I think is straight up lies for what they're actually wearing, because Kate has been shown wearing that thing 3 times already. And they had the moment where it's like, hey, man, they've got the uniforms made. Do you want to see me? He's like, yeah, man, but not right now. It's not the season finale yet.
I love how transparent the dialogue can be at times.
Exactly. It's just like, that's funny. When you do it as a joke, to be perfectly honest, it's great. But it's like in Deadpool where he's like, and a heaping helping of foreshadowing for later. But yeah, that whole, what part of me, and they might not do this again, that might be Maya, it might be somebody else. If they show that Yelena saw Clint talking to that plaque, that could do a lot.
Yeah. I was thinking that, like, I was almost assuming that, like, somewhere off in the distance, Yelena was just kind of had her eye on the memorial statue.
Yeah, because it's like in my brain here, we're trying to figure, like, because they have that talk, and Kate goes to her, if you really think Clint is evil, you should be thinking about who hired you to make him think you're evil. And then the next thing Yelena does is not go after Clint, is to figure out who actually hired her. That's not the bloodthirsty route.
Nope.
That was I'm going to give this 2 seconds. And if this seems weird, I'm going to look into it. A, hired by your mom through Kingpin, which is lending credence to the whole Madame Mask thing. But now, and she had a wherewithal to hire her, to tell her, she had no reason to tell her that. None whatsoever to tell her that Kingpin hired her. And now it's like she went through the ringer to find out everything about Kate. Do 5 seconds of research on Kingpin. 5 seconds. And that whole argument's over. It's kind of nuts. Mm-hmm. How easy that problem could be solved if they handle it that way. But yeah, it's everything happened, and I don't think we're gonna get a fight with swordsmen, unless that's who they're fighting on the frickin' roof.
Maybe it is,
and
maybe Kingpin bails
swordsman out.
Yeah,
maybe. It's like, because like she actually got him arrested. I thought there was gonna be like, okay, honey, I'll look into it, and then it sends a text message. She figured it out. This is not good. And that could still be the case. It could be very much the whatever, they're clever type thing. Because again, they hired someone to kill Clint. And it's...
Now wait a minute. I have a question. Is Valentina also working with Kingpin and working with Eleanor?
I don't think she's working with Eleanor. I think she was the in-betweener for Kingpin.
Okay.
They could very well be, but I honestly think Valentina is the villain Coulson.
Makes sense.
Where she just needs to be in the spot where the people that are a lot higher up there here are going, you, go talk to that person. And Kingpin very much went, I don't have time for this. Go make a compelling case, and then just had her go.
All right.
So, that's honestly what I think happened, because to me, she doesn't need to talk to both of them. And then if she talked directly to Kingpin, you're overstepping the financial ladder in that situation by quite a bit.
True.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that makes sense to have Valentina be like the middleman.
Because Kingpin's not going out to go meet these people.
No.
And you and me had a conversation the other day for these people, because all these episodes are going to be, I preset them on YouTube to be released in an order. We're recording this on Thursday, so this will come out Saturday. Or Wednesday, and this will come out Saturday. We both said it would make a lot of sense if they're going to make a Thunderbolty type of thing, that Thaddeus Ross has borderline nothing to do with it at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of looks like Valentina is Kingpin's errand girl.
Yeah.
If we were right and Kingpin is kind of the one who's going to set that up, I'm very okay with that.
So you think Thaddeus Ross is just completely hands off?
If Thaddeus was going to set this up, I would imagine Thaddeus is going to set it up. Because it's like Valentina talked with John Walker. Yelena or Valentina also talked to Yelena. From the looks of it, Valentina is working with Kingpin. I would imagine that if Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, being the gracious and glorious egotistical prick that he is,
he would do this all himself.
Yeah, he would go out of his way to go, you and me need to speak. There would be no middle person. He would be the one doing it. This version of Ross and of Ross from comics, in my opinion, he's doing the footwork. He's going to go talk to these people. In my opinion.
So the fact that he's not doing this means he's probably more by the books than he is in the comics.
Yes, or he might just become a member of the Thunderbolts.
That works too.
Because we still have She-Hulk, and we could still get Red Hulk.
That's true.
He just might not be the guy in charge. Because if I could see Kingpin having a conversation with Thaddeus Ross where he sweet talks him into taking a super soldier type of serum to make him like the Hulk, I kind of want to have that conversation be on screen. I'm not going to lie.
Okay, that would be pretty cool.
Just saying, all they did was add one villain, and there is so much shit they can do now.
By the way, now that it's like confirmed out in the open that yes, he is the big guy. Do you think A, this takes place in the same universe as Daredevil? No. Okay.
I'm gonna be honest. Even if they say it does, they're gonna act like that show didn't exist.
Fair enough.
I honestly think that's what's going to happen. Go on with the other question.
My other question is, do you think his involvement has anything to do with the multiverse? Probably not.
In my opinion, no, because there hasn't been anything weird going on otherwise. And even if it is, because how Clint talks about like Clint has known this guy since the blip, because he's talking about him being the guy who's in charge of the tracksuits, and he's been killing tracksuits since the blip.
Okay, then. What I'm hearing is, Ronin was an identity that I'm going to assume that Ronin was an identity that Kingpin came up with.
Or maybe he was the guy who started calling him Ronin.
Maybe.
That could be. And but yeah, this is basically going out of its way to go, hey, we haven't had a need to talk about this dude being an asshole in New York, but now we do. We already have a pre-established actor that everyone liked, and now we have our rights back, and we can kind of just go, yeah, he was there. What about Netflix? What about it? Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin. Is it the same thing? Doesn't have to be. He can just be Kingpin.
It's like bringing J.K. Simmons back to voice J. Jonah Jameson in like various other Spider-Man media that's not directly related to the Raimi films.
Exactly, because all it is a casting thing, and if they want to do multiverse, they don't need to, because it's honestly all they need to just go is Yeah, and then another pain in my ass in the red suit. Another red suited pain in my ass I have to deal with. You could just mention Daredevil. You bring him in. You could have Foggy Nelson come in, and then you wouldn't need to do anything else. Why? Because there'd be no reason to mention anything else. All you need to do is say, I've been dealing with Daredevil. That's all you got to do. Because that gets out of them having to bring Danny Rand in the current incarnation that fucking nobody liked.
Mm-hmm.
You get the possibility to do Luke Cage. You could say he never met Daredevil and make up a new story. You could say he never met Jessica Jones, make up a new story and reweave it how exactly they want, but keep the actors who did a good job.
I like this.
They spent money and got shit the way they wanted for a reason. They are not stupid, and they have all the money in the world to do what they need.
And I'm pretty sure, like in the very early stages of those Netflix shows, that there was going to be a stronger connection. Because I remember in season 1, you know, they made almost direct references to this is a New York post Avengers.
They did, but the weird thing is Marvel, until they got Disney Plus, always had the relationship of the show is going to mention the movie is not going to mention the show.
Yeah, it was always a one-way street.
Which is cool because and it's a smart way to do it, the movies aren't going to get canceled. Because
Exactly.
if the show bombs, it didn't exist. And we don't have to act like it was tied to an important storyline, which is a smart way to do it. S.H.I.E.L.D., they mention every now and then, but there was never specific storylines, which, again, is smart because they're not going, we're not tying it to something we need to do with whatever, which was what everything with Sony used to do, where it's like, cool, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing that, we're doing that. Oh, wait, that one bombed? Shit. We spent a lot of money setting those other ones up. There's no point anymore. We're recasting them again? Oh, maybe we should listen to Marvel this time. Cool, good talk. Now it's perfect. It's just, don't plan unless you're going to follow through with it. That's all I got to say. But there was a lot of really good mini moments in this. Again, 90s. The monologue call where she's just leaving voicemails. Again, I could have listened to it for an hour. Just the random stuff where she's just like looking at shit and she breaks the freaking face or whatever in the middle of it. It's awesome.
The punctuation of that scene is perfect with the message saying like, I'm sorry, this mailbox is full and cannot take more messages.
It's like, perfect, of course. It is. And the other big scene outside of the two big scenes that we need to talk about is the tracksuits. Again,
fucking A. These guys are morons.
They're so dumb, but I love them. They're like, we'd be like the Royal Tenenbaums. Yeah, like, why the fuck do you think we look like the Royal Tenenbaums? But you have heard me and Josh mention two best friends or super best friends play a lot in random podcasts.
Yep.
They're the people outside of Cypher on 48, who is a old Let's Player back in the day. They're the group that got me into liking Let's Plays and watching them. And that fucking arrow reminded me of something. If I can find the clip, I'll show it to you. But when he shoots that arrow and it pops open and has a note in it, it reminds me they had this thing every Halloween where they would do the shitstorm of scariness, where they would play 31 horror games and then post them all throughout October. And there was this one that's so dumb, and I can't not unsee it. It's ruined stuff like this for me, where they're in this like winding staircase, and this guy walks across a support beam, and this arrow gets shot from the distance where he doesn't see it, and it hits, and it's got a note attached to it. And it says, "Next time I won't miss."
Nice.
It's like, and you should have just killed me. Why would you leave that note? Oh, it's just like, oh, it was great. But we got some things I wasn't expecting. I kind of was expecting, but I wasn't expecting how it was going to get handled.
Okay.
I was expecting that Kazi was a douchebag. And I was expecting he did some backhanded shit. I was not expecting Maya to finally figure this out because of Clint.
I actually kind of like that.
I do too.
I like that it took Clint just being a good person to kind of wake her up.
Yep. And this show is doing something that I also, man, I don't mean to rip on the CW because there's a lot of stuff that I liked about it, but there's one thing that this show is doing, and it's showing with Yelena, it's showing with Kate, it's showing with all these people. These people aren't stupid. And they're not so one narrow track minded that they can't take 2 seconds to see if someone was lying. They're not just, they told me this, that is 100% the truth, and you will not believe me otherwise until the season finale when irrefutable proof in a video gets shown to me. Maya was like, the dude that killed my dad just told me that that someone I know informed me about that, and that's why he got killed. So then randomly, she took 2 seconds to think of that night and go, son of a bitch, Kazi wasn't there. You know what? I'm going to take 2 seconds to question him. Mentioned it, and he froze like a rebooting computer. It's all it took. And then she just goes, oh, huh. And then just plays it off. They're making these characters not so blind that they're like written to be stupid. And I respect that.
I was worried for a while that Eleanor would be that, but then I also realized no, she's she's hiding like 3 different layers.
Exactly. You and me have said it over and over again. I cannot get over how well written this show is. It's Hawkeye, for crying out loud. I was not expecting this from Hawkeye. It's fantastic.
Yeah, all of the characters, the ones who aren't idiots, and even the idiots like are fun.
Yeah,
are like the show just kind of gets people.
Absolutely, it does.
Oh, and something else we kind of have to mention. This episode, if you remember nothing about like the previous episodes and just take like this episode out of context, this is about as close we get to the Matt Fraction run with Cliff like hanging out in the apartment.
Yep. Hanging out in the apartment with Pizza Dog, taking care of him, and like going out of his way again to be like, dude, you're Hawkeye. Like, sleep in my bed, dude. You're not staying at a hotel. What are you talking about? Stop it.
They took the long way around to get there, but when they get there, it's a cool moment, and it's just really cool to see Grills just in the group.
It is. And he's perfect. And it's like, honestly, if they ever wanted to have these 3 just be like randomly, Grills, I need info about something in New York, he could instantly like call him again because he's a firefighter. He's into something where he could possibly get info if need be. And it's good. And one thing that happened in here that I was not expecting, which I guess would makes total sense that he would know about, is that he knew about Yelena. He just didn't know what she looked like.
Right. I'm sure like during some downtime, Nat and Clint were talking about her.
Well, yeah, and it's also, I can imagine he knew when he got Natasha out that she obviously mentioned at some point, I have a sister that's still stuck with the widows also. Yeah. And that at some point it's just like, and I'm just like, duh, that would have came up at some point. But then I'm like, he just doesn't know her enough where there's no pictures, because obviously they had no pictures together when they were kids you wouldn't recognize it. And then they grew up in the Widows, so they wouldn't have family pictures. So there's comes to reason why he has no idea what she looks like. And yeah, I'm ready for whatever psychobabble gets thrown at Yelena for this, but it's gonna be good. We're getting towards the thing. Do you want to bet now? Okay, under or over 60%, no, 70% that Kingpin actually shows up in person, in video, like in a scene in the series?
Over.
Okay.
He wouldn't. Vincent D'Onofrio wouldn't be tweeting about it if he wasn't like if he wasn't like in the show.
Okay. Now, again, over or under that it's the end credit scene, and only the end credit scene.
Without the only, I would have said over, but since you said only, under.
Because part of me's thinking Vince is like, hey, I'm showing up in this, but I'm shooting scenes for Echo. That's what part of me's thinking. They're gonna cock teased it with that picture, and then you're gonna either get an end credit scene with him in it, or he's just not gonna show up until Echo, and then they're gonna be like, "Want to see Kingpin? Better watch Echo." I don't know.
All right, I've got one for you.
Okay.
Over under 40%, we get a second season of Hawkeye.
Ooh. They've only announced the second season of one show so far. Man, that's a really good number. Because I'm optimistic, I will say over.
Okay. The reason I ask is because A, they're not done with Kate.
Mm-hmm.
B, I don't know how far we are realistically from a straight up Young Avengers movie and or series.
A bit.
And C, if Echo is a success, they might just do a second season anyway.
Now, the thing is, if it does have a second season, I don't see Echo being in it because she's getting her own series.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but it's like I could see if you're going to keep Hawkeye low level, you could have him be in another area and have him be a guy who is a gateway to other characters.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, because he's low level enough to where he's involved in enough stuff around the world in other areas where he can just be there for a reason. And he could kind of be like, Kate, I got called on something. Let's go. Because eventually you could have it stop being a Clint Hawkeye show.
And a Kate Hawkeye show.
Yes, to where it's just a Kate Hawkeye show.
That's honestly what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. Because they wouldn't even have to change the name or the graphic. Because they both use the name.
Yep.
And they're not going to call her Kate Bishop forever.
She's just gonna be Hawkeye.
Absolutely. And he would gladly hand the name over.
Now there's a couple of scenes we haven't talked about yet. One of them is the really touching scene between Clint and Laura.
Mm-hmm.
Where she's basically saying like, go with your gut, go with your gut. You didn't call me for permission. You know what you have to do.
Yeah, for good reason, the Equalizer has broke me with that. It's one of my favorite scenes in a movie ever, where I can't remember what politician's house he goes to, but or who the politician is supposed to be. But they go, it's I believe it's Bill Pullman and someone, and I can't remember what the woman actress is, but he just walks in and comes here. He's like, what did he need? He didn't need anything. What he asked for, permission, and he just walks out the door. Just like, I'm always like, this, okay, that was badass. He's like, I'm gonna do something bad, and I need you to be okay with it. But yeah, I just that whole form of situation and scene will never get old to me in any incarnation. But yeah, he's just like, I might off this woman, and she's like, I trust you. You're my husband. You put that away. They're getting a lot of mileage out of the family scene that Joss Whedon had to fight to get in the Avengers movie.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that when
I can't remember what it was, but he said do something or cut the barn, and he's like, I'm not cutting the barn. So then something else got taken out.
I think it was like a Thor scene that was taken out.
Oh, wasn't it? It was something else with Selvig that was like I think it had something to do more with the stones, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was something that would have like tied together Age of Ultron with Thor Ragnarok.
Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, it's crazy to think how that whole Hawkeye scene is now credible, and they've used his family in a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the best scenes in Endgame is that opening that I didn't think they were gonna do, but yeah,
that's one of my favorite scenes too.
Yeah, it's really good. We just
speaking of openings and
cool.
And snaps, we didn't really get into the opening and how this might be the first time we've seen the snap and the blip from from the victim's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like to them, it really was instant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it brings up more of the quote unquote argument of how many people died from bad snap placement. If you were in a plane, are you in the sky? Are you in the plane? What? Yeah, and it's just it just came back out. The wallpaper's different, all that. I was like, that was a really nice touch.
Yeah. The way they dissolved the backgrounds was just so well done.
Oh yeah. That whole I didn't know that we were going to get any more snapping. And then like my brain had to rewire itself and I'm like, "Wait. How was she helping Black Widows beforehand and then it was this and then all of a sudden my brain went, "You saw Black Widow way out of order compared to events of everything else." So then my brain had like file faxed it to like somehow be in out of timeline order. I'm like, no, wait, no, hold on. That goes there. That goes there.
Right. Because you forget that the end of Black Widow is
right before Infinity War.
Yeah. and even that is still like a few years off from like the actual snap.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy to think that you could have a lot more widows showing up because she was actually helping widows get freed months before the snap happened.
Yep.
That's nuts. I didn't think about that.
Remember in Shang-Chi when you saw some widows fighting in the club?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was crazy to me. I'm just like, this stuff should not tie into itself this well without falling to pieces after a while, and it's careful planning. They know this makes money and they know it can be done well, so they're doing it well. Appreciate it. Really do. And I just can't get over how good this show is. I just can't.
Yeah, it's probably the biggest surprise of the year as far as the shows go.
Yeah.
The movies, I think I still have Eternals as my favorite. with Shang-Chi as like a close second.
Yeah, I would say the same. I'm one of the weirdos where we're talking straight up movies since now that Kevin Feige has point blank said that it's not not Spideyverse thing, that Venom is point blank in the actual MCU now. That's straight out of Kevin's mouth. When Kevin says it, that means it's true. So I take that as gospel. And he said it in an interview recently. So my MCU rankings would actually be Eternals, Let There Be Carnage, and then Shang-Chi.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Because, there's just like, I would take an entire movie about Venom and Carnage again, just done in the style of the animation of that Carnage flashback.
Oh my god, yes.
That thing was insane.
Anything else from this episode that we haven't talked about yet?
No, but it's just like, okay, so I said what my version I thought of this was going to be. I imagined penthouse, big dude, giant oak desk, and then it just panning up to Kingpin after something happened. How did you figure Kingpin was going to be introduced, and how was it not in a really shittily captured cell phone photo? Which I'm fine with, by the way. Don't take that as me not liking it. I did like it. I was just not expecting it.
Honestly, I was thinking more like the sort of traditional, you hear him on the phone in the background, and then it cuts to his office or penthouse or whatever.
Yeah.
But the lead in is like a phone call.
Yeah. It's just like, because part of me was like, if Eleanor wasn't evil, that it was going to show her being held hostage by the Kingpin. I was like, what way are we doing this? It's just like, and then she's like, no, Eleanor hired him. I'm like, okay. So then I guess Eleanor is just evil. And then they're like, no, they're just talking with him. It's just, and are we going to have some ipso facto, like, what do I want to say, in media res, where there's been parties in the past and like Kate has met Kingpin and just didn't know it was him?
I hope not.
I hope not either.
I honestly hope that Kingpin is very much an outsider. Like in terms of he's just like the guy.
Yeah.
Running organized crime.
Yep. I hope so too. Yes, I absolutely hope so. It'd be good. You know what? I'm going to be one of those people. Since Kevin again has said that we're getting, if they ever got Daredevil or when they do Daredevil at this point, that it's going to be Charlie Cox. Can we get Elodie Young back as Elektra?
Yes.
Please.
That
was wasted. Holy balls, was that wasted. And she is awesome and not in enough stuff.
Hey, you know what? I'll just say it. Literally just take the entire Netflix cast and put them in the MCU. You don't have to like you don't have to reference like specific story beats, just the stuff that just like the vague stuff that everyone liked.
Or it's like you could just redo it. I would not mind a 6-episode redo of the Defenders.
The Defenders is the only one I specifically want redone.
Yeah. Because you could do like a couple things with Jessica, a couple things with Luke, a couple things with that, whatever. And then they just drop the Defender series, be like, yeah, I've met a guy, I did whatever, and just redo it. Because again, we got all those people as perfect casted roles, and then it was just kind of and if you're gonna have what was his name again, who played Danny Rand?
Finn Jones.
Man, maybe give him a second chance, but for the love of God, if you're gonna, acting coach and better written.
Yeah, acting coach better writing, better choreography, just better everything.
Yeah, that show was just, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Like, I knew nothing about Iron Fist, and I was like, yeah, cool, we'll just see it. And then I was like, does anyone else think this is bad? And then a buddy of mine, Morgan, who is a giant Iron Fist fan, like, stopped watching it after the second episode. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, that bad.
got it. And then all of a sudden they're like, yay, Defenders, more Iron Fist.
It's fun. It's funny how with Defenders you can tell they were banking on Iron Fist to be a hit because so much of that series like revolves around his lore.
Uh-huh. And you know who kind of obsoleted Iron Fist?
Shang-Chi.
You don't need Iron Fist anymore. You really don't. You got your karate master that's friends with a dragon already.
Yep.
You don't need Iron Fist. You can have Iron Fist. You don't need Iron Fist.
Yeah, you could have Iron Fist and maybe recast him with Louis Tan.
I'd not be against that. I would not be against that, but again, help me here. Is it meant to be an actual important story beat that Iron Fist is white?
Yes and no.
Because I do not know a lot about him. That's why I'm asking.
I mean, the character is white in the comics, but
it's not like a Black Panther thing where they're like, it's special that he knew karate and the fact he was white, or like somewhere he's a foreigner to this type of thing. I honestly don't know.
You can be a foreigner and still not be white.
Well, no, I know. It's just that like it was so weird to have like they purposely had a out of culture, like fish out of water situation. I literally know nothing about Iron Fist. That's why I'm asking.
That's basically the gist of it.
Okay, all right. Okay. And it's just like Louis Tan needs to be somewhere in excuse me, in MCU, DCU, anything. The guy's awesome. So I want him to be something. I don't care what. But I really love the guy. And yeah, I don't know. You know, as much as people don't like British actors playing Americans.
I
don't know why it just popped in my head, but Taron Egerton.
I like that.
Taron Egerton. I'm sorry. I keep saying that wrong. There is no D in his last name. It's Egerton. But yeah, something. I don't know.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, because it's like he's another one of those people that got fan cast this Wolverine where I'm just like, let's let that whole plate of food calm down. Let's let her sit. They can go so long without ever even needing to touch the X-Men. That is a whole plate of fish for another 30 years worth of movies. They are fine.
Mm-hmm. I would rather see X-Men shows than movies right now.
Yep, I agree. You can have shows set up a single person's movie or event, do it that way. Mm-hmm.
Well, this was a fun tangent.
Yeah, it's the possibilities are endless now, and they've shown that they are okay with giving redos and giving it where they matter. Kingpin is a character that should be in there, and they are not stupid enough to go, yeah, well, he was in that Netflix show. So, do we need to mention the Netflix show? No! I just want Kingpin. That's it? Oh, yeah, we'll probably take Charlie Cox, too, because he was really good. Anything else? Parts that matter. Throw out the rest? Absolutely. Directly right in the trash if we don't need it. We do our version of it now. It's not Netflix's. And I almost even wonder if they need to do it that way.
They don't even have to be conscious about it. They can just be like, hey, you guys are the characters. let's just go.
Yeah, exactly. And supposedly the ongoing rumor now is that supposedly Charlie Cox is going to show up for the first time in She-Hulk. Supposedly. Supposedly. Again, that is a random we want to grab an article thing. I didn't read it, but it came up in my Google News feed because I have a Pixel and it always shows up. Did I tell you before we end this, the stupidest one that came across? And the title was so dumb that I had to open it.
Oh boy.
What's Kate Bishop's dad's name again?
I think it was like Derek or something.
Anyway, Mr. Bishop. There was this big article about who the big guy is not who we expect.
Oh god, I know where this is going.
Hidden right under our noses. That's Kate's dad. And that they were going to do some big angle about how Kate and Maya are technically sisters or stepsisters. And then I'm like, okay, you're missing a giant detail here. And I'm waiting for the stupidity to come. And it kept going down and down and down. And I'm like, bingo, there it is. They faked his death during the Chitauri attack. So let me get this straight, comicbook.com. He knew the Chitauri were going to come and went, here's my chance. I'm going to let myself get blown up so I can start crimes.
I
almost applaud the stupidity of that article. I almost do.
That is like Olympic level gymnastics of the mind.
Yeah. To quote Sam Elliott, you're a special kind of stupid, aren't you? Oh, I was like, y'all are dumb. I'd love to be in these pitch meetings where they come up with this shit. I'd love to. Just make my day.
I could only imagine they are done at like the 11th hour when their boss says, "Hey, your deadline's up in 3 hours. Get writing."
Yeah, we haven't met our quota for stupid shit we've published on this website to make it a joke that no one listens to. Do some more. Oh, dude, we don't have anything. You have a wall of characters. Throw darts and connect them. One of them hit Kate's dad. Oh, well, this is gonna suck. It's fucking stupid. Oh, it's so dumb. But yeah, this is really good.
Yeah, I am so excited for the season finale.
The season finale is going to land right before Christmas.
And the season finale is after No Way Home. So we'll have more things to talk about.
It's kind of crazy how, again, Kingpin is originally a Daredevil villain, but he has become more known as a Spider-Man villain as the times go along. And man, part of me thinks in my brain that Kevin Feige went, hey guys, if we put the first 2 episodes out right away, the weeks will line up to where we reveal Kingpin right before Spider-Man comes out.
That's going to get people talking.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Oh, that dude is 15 miles ahead of everyone else. It's just like it's a famous Roddy Piper quote. Just when you think you know the answers, I change the questions.
I love
it. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, we're going to get on out of here. I'm going to edit this and pack for my trip that I'm about to go on. So, yeah, Mike, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. Look for us on Podchaser. Listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we.
Absolutely. And you can find me everywhere at Organoid Zero. This will be going up Friday. Mike said to come on the 16th. This will either be coming up Friday or Saturday. I got to remember exactly how the things line up because we had the Evangelion episode go up, and then all 4 of these. Is this be the 5th? Yeah, this will be coming up on Saturday, I believe. Next week, because I want to get something in for winter, I'm going to stream Miles Morales next week because that'll only take me like a day and a half to stream it, and it all takes place during winter. Or takes place originally around Christmas. So I'm going to do that so I can have something in because I've been wanting to stream some winter games and I want to get a little bit before the holidays. So yeah, I can wait till my 3rd monitor set up and all that stuff for later. Need to get back into it. Everyone, thank you so very much for watching. We're almost done with another series of What Ifs Disney Plus shows. This is so simple. It is so breezy. I don't feel like I'm dead tired running a 15 billion mile marathon in a row. I love it. I just love how short and breezy these shows are. They're perfect.
Oh, yeah. So digestible.
They are. It's the easiest thing to watch in the world. It's great. And it's just like, did this. I just finished watching Arcane earlier today. So it's like, oh man, I have had my just love for Haley Steinfeld just pumped straight into my veins. Ah, man. Part of me wishes that other studios would hire out Riot's editors because I need to see that art style in more things.
And Riot needs to be better at being people.
Their upper management is crap. I am just very happy that the people who work their asses off get to have their stuff come out. That'll always be my stance in this. One last thing before we go. I get it. The company is garbage, and you giving money to them to see this stuff is garbage as well. But I'm going to be honest. This is just me. Those people that are working a bazillion hours going through all this harassment to make something that they truly love and care about, I'm watching it because I give a shit about what those people poured their blood and guts and spent time away from their family from.
Same.
Because I'm telling you, if I was in that situation where I got ripped apart at work, sexually or mentally harassed, spent all my days losing sleep, having health issues to work on something, and then no one watched it, I'd be upset. Work to change the culture. Don't hate the work. Because those
Agreed.
people are douchebags. Those people making that stuff aren't. But Riot, just focus on music and series. It's kind of ridiculous how you're a video game company and the worst thing you make out of all your productions is video games.
Yeah,
it's kind of laughable. Your music and your series are worlds better. Always. But all right, we're going to get on out of here. See you guys. Bye.